Okay, are we ready to get this mini P-47 brushless plane in the air again? I got my timer set for 5 minutes this time. I should be good with that. I should have about 3.6 volts per cell left, flying it the way I was flying it in the remaiden. I did put in a little more down trim in the elevator and more expo in the aileron. All right, launching. Takes off nice and sweet at 60% throttle. Still has pretty good slow flight capability in gyro mode. Check that out. I thought we'd fly it around in gyro mode here a minute and do a little close proximity flying. Isn't that sweet and quiet? It sure beats that brush motor and gearbox, does it not? Alright, let's see what just a rudder turn looks like. Look at that, guys. I love that V761 gyro. It is so rock solid. Look at that. That is so sweet. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Spins right around. Yeah, spins right around. Yeah, I do like the increased expo I've got in the ailerons now. That V761 gyro board is just awesome. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Did you see that? That is so darn cool. I'm very, very happy with this. I got some tweaking to do. Whee! Right over the truck. I got some tweaking to do. But, oh my gosh, is that awesome or is that awesome? I am loving this plane even more now. Whee! That was pretty good elevator control authority there, even in gyro mode. Look at that. Look at that. Whoa! Whoa! This is so cool. I'm loving it. Okay, so let's gain a little altitude and see if the amount of expo that I put in, down trim, and it still wants to nose up ever so slightly. I think I'm going to have to increase the down angle on the motor a little bit to counteract that. Counteract that. Look at that in manual mode. That was a pretty tight turn. Counteract that positive angle in the main wing. I think that's what's pushing the nose up. So I need a little more down thrust. Woo! I'm getting a little jukey with it. Overconfident, I guess. Sweet. It has some power now, guys. I think I'm pulling a little too hard on the elevator. I may need to tone that down a little bit. Okay, got it back in gyro mode. It'll handle a lot better in manual mode once I get that thrust angle corrected, get a little more down angle in it. But isn't that awesome? Whee! Watch that truck. Alright, I'm about to get to my haptic. Okay, so let's come back in, set it down. Looks like we are clear to navigate. Free and clear to navigate. Coming into a little bit of a wind. It's only about 3 or 4 miles an hour this morning. Look at that. That still floats really well. I was kind of worried about that. Being 14.5 grams heavier than it was stock, but it still has a very light wing loading. That thing just floated right in at about a 3 to 4 mile an hour wind. That was awesome. All right. Yeah, I think once I get this all tuned in manual mode, it's going to be absolutely awesome. I don't know. Let's put another battery pack in it. I want to get a little more comfortable with it, and I want to check and see how much voltage we've got left in the cell after the 5-minute flight. I'm guessing we'll have around 3.6, maybe a little more, because I was doing mixed mode flying there. I wasn't hitting the throttle as hard as I was during the first flight. More mixed mode flying. Alright, so let's see how much voltage we've got in it now. Yeah, I still have 7.4, guys. That was a full 5-minute flight, a little bit over by the time I got on the ground. 7.485, 3.72, 3.76. So yeah, doing mixed mode flying, even with these really, really old lipos, I'm not going to have any problem getting at least a 6-minute flight out of it. And like I said, if you've got some newer ones that will actually, you know, hold on to their 4.2 volts per cell charge, you know, before you get it in the plane, you won't have any problems getting 7 minutes of flight out of this with mixed mode flying like I was doing. Okay, so let's see if we can put another battery pack in it. Okay, test flight 3 on the Eachine Mini P-47. Now brushless Mini P-47. You know, I'd forgotten about something. I had a bunch of down trim in my elevator, and I had forgotten that this gyro will not arm the motor if there's too much trim in the radio, which is another reason why I always like doing my trimming mechanically, which I will be doing. So I had to remove the trim to get the motor to spin up, and then I applied the trim again, and then it was okay. So just be aware that with these little gyro receiver bricks, they don't like too much trim in them, and they will not arm the motor if you have too much trim. All right, I've got it in gyro mode. Let's launch. I did add a little more expo to the elevator. Look at that, isn't that awesome? That is so sweet. Look at that slew with rudder. Whee! That is so darn cool. So well behaved. Which is why I wanted to do a brushless conversion of this particular airframe, because it's just a very, very good handling airframe. Look at that. Sweet. It just spins around. Look at that. That is so cool. Whee! Okay, let's gain a little altitude. And we'll put it in manual mode again. I've got to remember to mechanically adjust that trim so I don't have to have it in the radio. Okay, well, it didn't nose up that time. It actually nosed down a little bit in manual mode. I may have to tone that elevator down mechanically, go down one hole, or cut my dual rate. Look at that, guys. That was a huge loop. That is so awesome. Look at that. Woo, I'm getting a little jukey with it here. I may have to tone down more than the elevator. But you can fly this pretty darn slow even in manual mode. Look at that. I am pretty impressed with it. Woo! I am really getting jukey with it. I probably should have toned down the dual rate on my elevator. Oh yeah, I definitely should have. Woo! Yeah, I definitely have some tweaking to do for manual mode flying this. It's just too abrupt for me right now on the controls, unless I'm flying it really slow. Okay, I put it back into gyro mode until I can get this thrust angle tweaked, and I think I'm going to pull the dual rate down on the elevator. Maybe on the ailerons too, just to smooth it out a little bit. I was all over the place. That was worse than my first demonstration with it in full manual mode. Isn't that cool? Woo! I had to duck for that one. I am really happy with the results of this project. First time out with it. Watch the truck. And I'm really surprised at how light the wing loading still is, being 14.5 grams heavier than it was stock. That is absolutely awesome. Okay, before we get any company, we'll clear that direction, bring it back around and land it. And I was a little harder in the throttle this time than I was last time with a 5-minute timer, so let's see. Awesome, awesome. So let's see how much battery we have left in it now. But isn't that awesome, guys? That is fantastic. I'm glad I had time to adjust that elevator control linkage and bring it underneath so that the gyro was correcting in the proper direction, because I would have hated to have to do all these flights in full manual mode until I get it tweaked. I'll put it in manual mode now so I'm not activating, but alright, so let's check one more time our battery, because I was a lot heavier in the throttle that time for that 5-minute flight than I was the last 5-minute flight. Okay, got the battery meter. 7.5, really? I wouldn't have thought that. 3.75, 3.76. So I was harder in the throttle, I thought, on that flight than I was on the previous one. And still came down after a little over 5 minutes in the air with that much juice left in the cells, considering that they only have 4.1 in them to begin with. That's pretty darn good. Even with those old batteries, I could get a good 6 minute flight of mixed mode flying out of it. And like I said, with newer ones, I'm gonna have to purchase some newer batteries of these little 2S lipos, and then I could easily get 7 minutes of flight out of it. All right, so anyway, I would call this a huge success. I'm very happy with it. I got some tweaking to do on the dual rates and the Expo in full manual mode. I've got to increase the down angle on the motor to counteract that positive angle on the main wing, so I don't have to have that down trim in the elevator that I have in it right now. The balance felt really good. I have the CG right where it was before I performed the conversion. It did require 2.4 grams of additional nose weight, but it doesn't seem to mind the additional 14.5 grams of weight. You saw it coming in for a landing and how it floated and how slow I could still fly it in full manual mode, even though I don't have it tuned out for full manual mode yet. So I'm extremely happy with it. Now I have another plane that's a bind and fly kit that I have to jump on right away and get the build and flight testing and review of it done. So it's probably going to be a couple of weeks before I can jump back on this project to get those ailerons extended and do the other things that I need to do. So it might be a week and a half, 2 weeks before you see it in the air again. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.